Warning, the podcast you are about to listen to is performed by professionals, so for your safety and protection of those around you, do not attempt any of these stunts or reviews. You've been warned. This week we review Jackass Forever. I am so excited.
I know you are. Tell them how we got here.
Dude, okay. First of all, I love this series. A little bit about it, directed by Jeff Tremaine. He was the director through like all of Jackass, the TV shows, all the movies, Dick House Productions, which that production company has Oscar nominations. Bet you didn't know that.
Naturally. Well, I knew it did from this, right?
Nope. Not from this. Not from this. Nope.
Oh my God, because NPR loved this movie.
NPR did love this movie, which is not the
weird.
crowd who expected
Right.
to enjoy this movie. But they did like the Bad Grandpa movies, and that was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Makeup.
But they lost.
Yeah, but
But that means someone was lost to Dick House Production. That's fantastic.
and they still get the laurel. They still
Good for
can
them.
put, when you look at Bad Grandpa, this is a Oscar.
All the respect. Was there anyone but this guy that directed anything? Or was there like a second most director, like in a Twilight Zone situation?
So the other person who has directing credits involving Jackass is an Academy Award winner.
Wait, is this a spoiler? Me
No.
asking this? Okay, good.
No, this is true. Spike Jonze.
Oh, right. Naturally. Okay.
Yeah, Spike Jonze, who's been with the Jackass series since its conception in, I believe, the year 2000, who won, which is funny because the movie he won his Oscar for was Best Screenplay for Her.
Right.
So when you watch Her, this guy also directed some other stuff, which is not in the same vein as a slow kind of burning.
So, like in a sports analogy, like if you're starting an NBA team today and you had
Yes.
to get one player to start, like if you were starting a studio today and one stable of directors, Dick House Productions is a viable because it's got
Not bad.
No, it's got a strong stable of directors.
Yeah, and creatively,
I
like
love it.
even when they did the third Jackass movie, they invested in, I believe the cameras were called a Phantom cameras,
Oh,
and they
right.
shot at like an incredibly fast frame rate. So
Right.
they were
my
sort of
God.
they're sort of in the same realm as a James Cameron.
I'm so excited about all of this.
if you will.
Things I'm learning. Really good.
Okay, so first I just gotta spill my heart out for the Jackass series. That series hit right at the right age for me. Young adolescent who just thought it was the funniest thing in the world.
Right.
I thought it was. I mean, you couldn't convince me there was anything funnier than Jackass or the
I can
sequel.
totally see that.
Yeah, and
Wait, how did it first arrive? What was your first experience of Jackass? Was it the show? Was it a movie? Was it marketing? Was it?
It was
rumors?
all the news channels and like Joe Lieberman trying to cancel it. Like that's how I discovered it.
That's why I asked. That's amazing.
I remember the news story.
Oh my God.
I remember the news story playing. There was a bunch of kids in their backyard. They kept running up to the camera and going, "Jackass!" And then one of them sat on a lit grill and got like really burnt. And me and my friends were like, "Well, we gotta check this show out." Plus, it was like MTV when MTV was still relevant and cool at that time.
Sure.
So
That's amazing. Your path to Jackass was Joe Lieberman. That's perfect.
And there's
Okay.
two lanes to this. So Jackass was its own thing that was started by like Johnny Knoxville and all those cats. But then over on the East Coast, over in Philadelphia, Bam Margera, who was a skater, who was not in this new one because after his friend who died, Ryan Dunn, he's been going through like rehab and a bunch of shit. They were doing these movies called the CKY movies, and if you're not familiar with that, CKY, which I love, that it was also a band, stands for Camp Kill Yourself, based off of Sleepaway Camp. So it's got this weird horror thing into it. But we used to watch the CKY movies, and I loved like eighth grade me. Listening to CKY, I listened to all those albums: Infiltrate, Rebuild, Destroy, and their first one. I forget what the first one was called, but it had like the riffs on that were so great,
Right.
and the band itself was killer. Because
Right.
I remember on their website they had Ask CKY, and I remember I asked them two questions and they answered both of them. So it was like the first time like I got to interact with an artist. And so
That's amazing.
so the CKY movies, they would do very similar Jackass things, like they would put their friend in like some kind of trash can and roll them off a roof,
Right.
but then they
Right.
would play like CKY's music and a bunch of underground stuff. So
that's your association. These are the two lanes that are getting you. That's amazing.
yeah,
Okay.
and the CKY movies felt really, really underground because
Right.
I remember you had to they would only have like
Well,
one
anytime
of
you
them.
have to acronym something to talk about it, something fishy's going on. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, no. So we really love these movies,
Right.
and even going back to the first Jackass movie, I remember I was thinking about this today before we recorded. I remember I got the movie, and I remember I watched it probably 3 or 4 times in a row, and I remember watching it with the guy. I used to. It was weird. I was in 6th grade, and I used to love watching the DVD commentaries. I used to
Yeah.
love watching it, which is kind
Sometimes
of
that's the best, better than what's on.
and it's almost sort of a lost thing. I kind of miss it now, but I remember where I was. I remember the time of day. I remember the weather outside. I remember I remember I forget. I was maybe 11. I remember I got new curtains, and they were these dorky looking blue flame curtains. I remember how they smelled. I remember the smell. I remember having my window open. My neighbors got back from the mall, and their family got them 2 cell phones from the cricket kiosk.
Oh.
And I remember telling them, hey, I'm on my 3rd watching of it. And they were like, okay. And then they went on to do whatever. And I was just laughing it up, having just the best time. I remember.
I like you communicated retro, even though they had their new phones. You're like,
I was out
we
the
still
window.
shout.
I was out the window hi.
Okay. Perfect.
But just how, I was thinking about how influential these
Yeah.
movies were. And not in the sense that we did pranks and shot at each other and did all this other stuff. But
Right.
the culture around it was so influential.
Yep.
Growing up, I just watched a 30-minute video about Andrew WK. He's a rock star who did he had an album I Get Wet, which was a great party rock anthem, and now he does stuff with suicide prevention and all this other great stuff. He did his song "We Want Fun" was the song that they did for Jackass on the DVD, and I remember watching that song over and over again. So you had the CKY, you had that really cool octavey guitar melody type of stuff. You had
You got more letters. WK.
yeah, you got Andrew WK. Everything's acronymed with this group of people. I don't know.
It's sus. I'm telling you.
I don't know what it is,
Right.
but even the CKY movies and the Jackass movies brought in just a whole bunch of music, and I was at that age where you're still kind of morphing your taste. And so even thinking back earlier, at the ending of Jackass 1, the very first song they play is Hybrid Moments from the Misfits. That kicked off me loving the Misfits.
Right.
That kicked off me loving the horror punk side of things
Of
and
course.
getting into people wearing the makeups and
Of
playing
course.
rock and roll. And then
Of course.
I remember learning Hybrid Moments on the guitar. And then I remember the next song they played on the credits was CKY's song Flesh into Gear. I remember my guitar teacher teaching me how to play Flesh into Gear. I remember having to go out and get a Boss octave pedal so I could get the same tone that they were going for on those albums. Dude,
Everything you just said is on the warning label to not consume the Misfits if you're ever going to possibly be a musician. This might happen to you. It all happened, which is amazing.
but it's just wild to me that how it blew my mind because I was watching it when we watched not to go too far off, but I have to spill my.
No, yeah.
This is the only
This is-
opportunity I'm
no.
probably ever gonna get to talk
do it.
about
No,
how
this is-
influential and amazing,
This is the good stuff.
how amazing it was.
Why Dickhouse Productions have more Oscars? Go.
But even I was on my walk today before you came over. It was because we're in LA and it was something 96, 98 degrees outside. I went on
time
a
in a
walk
while.
today. Yeah, first time in a while. It was really hot, and I was like, I want to go out there, warm up the muscles, loosen up before we record. And then I remembered in one of the old CKY videos, they were a little more raunchy than the
Sure.
because they were young kids doing incredibly crazy things. They even made a feature length film called Haggard, which wasn't good, but it was so fun to watch.
I love those.
And
Hail Ratma.
there was it might have been in Pennsylvania where I feel like Ratma would be in Westchester, Pennsylvania. But there was a guy named his name was Rab himself, and he was a cameraman in Jackass Forever, which is great because he was a main player in the CKY movies doing a bunch of awful
cool.
shit. So it's glad that he's behind the camera now. But George Carlin had a bit saying, you never seen someone running full speed and taking a shit. Rab himself took it upon himself to fill himself full of laxatives, run and take a
George
shit.
Carlin has been proven wrong.
But then we got into George Carlin.
Right,
And
right.
so like all the avenues of like stand up comedy,
That's
you know,
crazy.
even fashion, like they had like the cool skate shoes, and like they just you know, Johnny Knoxville had this rock star look to him,
Yeah.
and then the music side.
Well,
There's all these influences.
there was that, and there was also sometimes it's as much how you do something as what you do. What you might even be doing is wrong, which I don't think what they're doing is wrong, but it could even be wrong, but your presentation of it is more important. So there's this guy, famous guy once in Europe in like the Napoleon times 1800s who said, anyone who lives past the age of 35 is a rascal or is a scoundrel, right?
Both
And
those words I love.
it became a famous quote. Like anyone who lives, and Napoleon thought that too. He's like, I got to conquer everything because by 35 you're dead. Like that's it. Like whatever. And even the guy saying it knew it wasn't true. It was the attitude he said it with, right?
Right.
And Jackass was one of those rare things that had an attitude that was actually dangerous, right? Actually more complicated than it seemed on the surface, actually more well thought through than people were giving it credit for, but actually still capable of being dangerous, right? Which I think that part of it is just as it infiltrated the culture in what we would call vibes now, I guess, but like in that way too, because people were like, "Oh shit, we got to be dangerous. God, that's way more work." Now,
Right.
And you saw other people scramble to try to like free a wall they were having their influence. So,
But yeah, no, I just had to get that off.
No, that's amazing.
Out of my system, because I don't know. There's still music I listen to that like I discovered through Jackass
Right.
today that like I still just really quite enjoy. So that brings us to Jackass Forever, the fourth movie. And dude,
Yes.
Dick House Productions is kind of like a little mini empire. Like they had spin-offs of their show. So they had Jackass that ran for 3 seasons, and then the two most popular shows that my group of friends watched were Viva La Bam and Wild Boys. One of them was about Chris Pontius and Steve-O going to like random jungle areas and doing crazy shit, which like it's like it took you to like these vast regions. So I love it. Jackass Forever.
nothing to not love in that.
Nothing. Yeah.
Right. So where did we leave off in Jackass 3? What was the last time we had seen these people?
Oh, geez, I don't even remember.
Oh,
I just
but it's been a while.
I just remember. I remember. It's funny. I think I got dumped after watching Jackass
Jesus
3.
Christ.
Yeah, dude. I think I got dumped. I remember I was dating a girl. We saw Jackass, and then I think it was when Obama won his re-election.
Oh my God.
It was Obama Romney.
Okay.
And then Obama won. And
Right.
I remember she was acting really weird, and I was. She was acting real weird. Went home, and then she called me. She was like, "I think we have to break up," and I was like, "All right."
I don't know which had more impact, Obama or Jackass, in what transpired in your relationship.
I have a feeling it's probably half and half. I have a feeling it's probably half and half.
Okay, so here we are now. The Jackass 4,
And I haven't
Jackass
watched.
Forever.
I haven't watched. Like, you know, I haven't gotten nostalgic till I go back and watch any clips. So it's been a
Right.
while since I've seen any of this.
Right.
I
How
can-
around are they before this movie launches? Not the marketing, but like, is there other ongoing Jackass stuff, or is the whole franchise pretty
A
quiet,
lot of it is
quiet before this launch?
No, so Johnny Knoxville has had a couple movies. He had that Action Park movie, which has a couple members of Jackass.
Right. Okay. Which was great.
None of them really had like Jackass quality type stuff. A lot of them, like Steve-O, for example, I guess he's gotten his life together. Like I guess it was pretty much in shambles. So now he has like a really like great podcast and all this other stuff.
Okay,
so,
cool.
So they've still kind of maintained a little.
Right.
Some of them.
So their hands are in a little bit, but it's not like if this movie hits the way it does and as good as it is we're about to talk about it is, right? Then that's cool that this is the way they re-enter the conversation, which is what I love.
Yeah.
The Coen brothers do this. They vanish for a while and they come back with a banger. So okay, so Jackass Forever. What?
So right off the bat, I completely forgot how all of Jackass is just like these little vignettes of skits. Like I don't know why. Like I mean, all of it is just that. But whenever like a skit cuts and it just kind of fades to black and then fades back up to another thing, when we were talking, I was like, I wonder if that's where like. If that's like where my love for like anthologies like came
Right,
from,
editing,
or
right?
not, or continue to like thrive, because
Sure.
Jackass just seriously is essentially just an anthology of shitty ideas, you know, in no particular order.
But great.
Yes.
Shitty idea.
I mean, it's shitty happening to you.
Right.
Or there's actual shit involved.
Right.
So there's...
Or like someone decided, when you like you're walking around, you're joking. Like when I get reincarnated, I want to come back as. What would you say? Like just
If you came back?
no, if you were like when I get reincarnated, what would you say? Like who would you pick?
Who would I want to come back
Who would
as?
you come back as?
Me with the same... Can I read?
Okay.
Me with the same knowledge. I'm going
Right.
to Dwight Schrute the answer.
All right, I'll say Shakespeare.
I knew
then-
you were going to say Shakespeare.
Right? So
I would probably... Okay, if I had to pick a real person...
Rod Serling.
Yeah, but he had to go through war.
He did. I don't think you have to relive.
You don't have to
maybe
relive
with
it?
him, you do.
Okay.
Yeah, never mind. Leave
Okay.
him alone.
At least I get to talk.
Not
Crow.
him. He's the worst choice. What was I thinking?
I would just talk to my team like, today on Hollow Weekly, Nick and George talk about guys in their 50s getting slingshot in porta potties. This is Jackass Forever. Bum, 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 bum. That's my best Rod.
It's perfect. I would watch in a heartbeat. Okay. So it doesn't matter. Who you're not going to say is Wile E. Coyote, right?
Right.
Because no one wants to come back as Wile E. Coyote except for these people. Because they're
Right.
not just hurting each other. They're hurting each other in Renaissance painting layout kind of ways.
Right.
Right. That's the thing. That's what, like you're saying. I remembered it being, for some reason, I remembered it being more narrow and focused on the damage is what I remembered. But there are set pieces here that, I mean, it was Team America meets like Citizen Kane.
There was some really great setups, and even just looking at the cast like themselves, like I think it's been a decade since I got dumped, and
right.
and
There's
they
a
all
whole Jackass Reddit thread on you getting.
I will say I thought a lot of the cast like still looked pretty good considering
Yes.
all the amount of stuff that they've put themselves through. Like none of them looked
Are you
really
kidding?
none of them looked really bad. I was like, you look pretty good.
I would
still."
look 15 years older tomorrow if that happened to me.
it looked pretty bad. So one of the things with the Jackass movies is they usually have a very spectacular opening and a spectacular ending. I thought the ending to this one wasn't as high quality as like the last one. In fact, we were talking about.
Oh my God, that's what I'm so glad I'm not as connected to this as you are, because the ending was my favorite part of it.
So I like the ending, but just in comparison, so like the ending of the third one is a musical. And they remember we were talking to Alex about
That one I
that.
haven't
We were
seen.
talking to Alex. Was it Buster Keaton who did the house falling on him?
Yes.
Johnny Knoxville performs that for
Exact-
real, like just like Buster Keaton did.
Amazing.
So it's not as highly polished as it.
Right.
But the opening and the closing were still very funny, very thought out. And for our giant monster lovers, I don't know if it's actually a giant.
opening.
I don't know if it's actually a
It's
giant.
not a giant.
So it's a quote Godzilla kind of monster, green monster terrorizes the town.
You're bearing the lead.
The opening. Well, it's funny. This was actually directed by Spike Jonze.
Yes.
This opening.
Yes.
It's not actually a man in a green monster suit. It is Chris Pontius's penis painted green with like eyes and stuff, and they are puppeteering it to be terrorized through a town, intercut with the crew members of Jackass, like going through actual stunts. Like I think Danger Aaron, I think gets tackled by this like huge football player dude.
Oh yeah, everything that happens is 10 times better done than Birdemic.
Yes. Yeah. Some people get flown through. Like an explosion's happening. Everyone
Yeah.
gets covered in Godzilla's love juice.
Yeah.
Even Tony Hawk's in there too.
Yeah,
Randomly, he slips on it. And then it ends with Chris Pontius's penis getting bit by a turtle.
Yeah, naturally.
And
Naturally.
because what's the turtle in Godzilla?
Gamera?
Yeah, it's their Gamera biting Godzilla, but it just happens to be a grown man's penis.
And it's horrifying. But actually pretty well done. And actually,
It's really well shot.
Like I said, Baldemic is way better than anything. Like you see way worse than this.
And I'm pretty sure they shot that at the what is it? The Paramount lot.
God, help everyone at Paramount.
Well, because one of my first jobs I ever had in LA was working at the Cinegear Expo, which is where they show all the new cameras. And I remember some of those buildings, and it looked just like that. And I was having flashbacks to like my first gig in LA, but now I was looking at men getting covered in jism throughout
How
it.
far we've come.
So the opening was pretty good.
Yeah.
This Jackass has a lot lot more penises in this one. More,
Yes,
more than your standard bold action Jackass film. So there's a lot more nudity in this one.
There is.
Um,
I love the ending. Are we talking about the ending? You said opening and ending.
let's talk about the ending.
Just because. So the thing that I really fixated on here is that that Johnny Knoxville should immediately be removed from here and put into the Sabrina universe as the devil. I mean,
He would be great.
is a better devil than most people could play the devil.
Right.
And the fact that he can still work up that manic, like he's got an itch he has to scratch, excitement to inflict unpredictable pain on people after doing it thousands and thousands of times. But the end is where it got really scary. Like, you don't want to see Johnny Knoxville coming at you with that level, because he disoriented them in such a unique way physically by putting them on that spinner wheel that they were in a physiological state of panic, which he knows, like it's exquisite, like Lucifer would do it, right? So he's got him in this total state of mental disorientation that they've probably not faced in Jackass universe in this level.
Yeah.
And then he changes it up with a completely different visual.
So the four, yeah.
right?
So what they think it's four guys. I think
Right.
there's a couple newcomers in this movie who I thought were really, really great.
Right.
Essentially, they're gonna strap him into like this like thing where it just spins him around, and they're all gonna try to chug milk. Eventually, and that's a classic Jackass thing where they would, because everyone says it's impossible to drink a gallon of milk, and they would, in fact, even Mad TV.
It was almost myth-bustering it until Hell broke loose.
Yes, in fact, Mad TV even made fun of it, where Will Sasso played Kenny Rogers. He was like, "Hi, I'm Kenny Rogers, and this is Jackass." And then they tried to chug milk.
No
so
shit.
it's a class. It's a.
Oh, wow.
It's an old classic.
That's a Will Sasso callback. All right.
He's great. And so they think that they're just gonna eventually get spun up so fast that they're all dizzy and then vomit on each other.
But that's not what's happening at all. The movie's
They
ending.
pull the rug out from under them, and then.
Right. And Stanley Kubrick's Paths of Glory breaks out. It's what happens. Like 1917 deleted scene breaks out, but Johnny Knoxville style, and it's just glorious mayhem. But what I'm telling you is the thing that's crucial about this is how unexpected the visual of what's happening and how it transpires, and then the panic that breaks out in the victims. Like, he's invented a new kind
A
of
full-on army surrounds them with paintball guns, and
Right.
even a tank with like shooting like I don't know, like tennis balls or something, like a high speed.
right, but they can't get a good visual on anything that's happening because they're still spinning. So they're just seeing war, I guess, blurry war.
And there's actual like explosions
Right,
happening in the
that's what I'm
background. So
telling you.
they're dizzy.
Right.
They're covered in vomit. They're getting shot at from all angles. There's a tank shooting at them.
Right. And they can't see, and they're just hearing those sounds. And I'm telling you, you watch their faces. Johnny Knoxville invented a new kind of fear, which can't be easy to do at this point.
No, and my favorite part is one of like so they're all like locked in.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
like they don't want them to go flying at that speed. They're getting spun at,
Yeah.
and all but one can't get his thing out, and one of the dudes runs back to help. And I just thought that was the most heroic thing in the whole movie.
It was Saving
He's
Private
like
Ryan.
I can't leave you here because he's just a sitting duck at that point. But the fact that he ran back there to save his boy
Totally.
to get him out of there, I thought was
100%.
really great.
And I think that's why I love the ending, and I think it's also part of that what you just said, that coming back is part of what I love about the ethic of the Jackass crew. Like, that part is interesting to me, that they are so exposed to each other. There's no secrets. There's nothing you don't know
No, they've
about each
seen
other,
everything.
and you've seen each other in every possible situation. You know, in The Dark Knight, when the Joker has to get out of the prison with verbally, and he's just like, I watched your friends die. Do you want to know which ones of them are cowards, right? Like, he can rattle you, like, whatever. You can't rattle the Jackass people to each other. They've been through everything you could throw at a human being. So they're super exposed to each other, and there's a super bond that comes with that I find really interesting.
I think that's part of the reasons why we really enjoyed watching, because like when you're a kid and you're watching it, like you almost like you see that camaraderie with them, and it's
Right, it's the Losers Club, straight up.
It's infectious
Like,
when you watch it.
Yeah, totally.
Like you just kind of like, man, I wish I had friends like that. Not like that, but like close like that. You know what I'm saying?
Wish the devil was my friend.
So being a Jackass movie, there's a lot of gross stuff in there.
Yes.
What was there anything in there that wigged you out? Because there was one moment in particular where I gagged.
No, there's nothing that wigged me out per se. That's pretty hard to do to someone who's like watching Sallow and whatever. But it did, the accumulation of the visuals for this one was it gave the effect they were going for, right? Like I felt like I needed a shower, and I appreciate the Jackass is like 4D or whatever, right? Like it's making you feel gross, like right because the horror genre itself is a special genre because it's heading at a root emotion that the other films can't really put those direct like electric voltage on, right? Like it's no way. Fear is so primal, and like this one is, first of all, almost any POV from Jackass you think someone's gonna die. I'm lying. One moment did wake me out. The time someone almost died. It was the exploding chair mishap.
Oh yeah,
did I misunderstand that, or did Wee Man almost die?
Yeah, no, they said it flight. So the skit that George is talking about, they basically set up musical chairs, but one of the chairs had some kind of like air cannon device that would send the person flying. So Johnny Knoxville, being the little devil he is, they keep playing the music and they stop. And then, like, they all take a seat and they're waiting for it to blow up. But he makes them do it, like, 3 or 4 times.
Well, okay. So what's happening is because clearly he knows which chair is going to blow up. And he's just going to say, keep going. He's just going to musical chair until Wee Man ends up in the exploding chair.
Well, no, that was the joke.
Right.
All of them exploded. There wasn't one of them. Yeah, it's just
I didn't notice all of them.
Yeah, dude, that was the joke.
I just watched him go.
Yeah, no,
I was so worried for
that was the gag, is that all of them blew up. It's just that since Wee Man...
I missed the whole gag.
He went...
only watched Wee Man. I was so worried.
So all of them blew up, but all the other guys, they probably went up in their seat 3 feet. You know what I mean?
Shit.
Wee Man went flying behind the thing, lands in between all the chairs where like the air pumps were, and they just put a lip blanket over it. There's no foam, no nothing. And then they pull the blanket over there, and you hear Johnny Knoxville go, "We didn't put any padding on it." And he like lands on his head, like it looked like
he was upside down when he went in there.
He
it looked like a North Korean rocket test.
Yeah, it did. It went up, and you thought, "Oh shit!" And then it fell. And you're like, "What are you gonna do?"
That's terrible. But the fact that they showed the cut and it looked like the back of every carnival that ever set up in your city that you suspect didn't have a permit, and you walked behind the scenes and looked at the gear. That's what it looked like down there.
Yeah, it looked.
And he went flying into it
head first. It looked,
other than that, nothing wigged me.
It looked pretty bad. The one moment.
Did something wig you out?
Oh, dude, I gagged at one point. It was when it was this part's really gross. So if you don't like gross shit, skip ahead like a minute. But it was when Chris Pontius randomly just took a swig out of the cup of pig semen. Like I did not expect that, because in the second one he takes a shot of horse semen, and it was like a huge gag. I think, and I don't remember this. I have to rewatch it, but I think like his dad disowned him or something like that. Or like I think maybe he was just joking about it, but like I remember some parental in his life was not happy about it.
Right.
But no, it's just like this big, gross like container of pig semen. He just takes a gulp of it, and I gagged, and I had to look down because like it was so unexpected. It was one of those like like you just feel it like in your actual throat, like your throat's trying to like throw up, and you're like, don't Ralph, dude, not during the movie.
You know what's weird is I think I knew right before he did it he was going to do it. I wonder what the micro expressions are that give away that you're about to whatever. But like, yeah, that was among many terrifying moments.
No, that part got me pretty bad.
This movie is hard to watch in parts. I even for like extreme horror, and like I said, maybe it's just accumulation after the 6th exposure to the
taints,
like inside of whatever, like you're just like, okay,
and it is high def,
right? Yeah. Things
you can do a hair count with some of these men.
But that's what I'm saying is, and maybe that's part of why they need the visual flair. Why the movie turns into Fellini all of a sudden occasionally, but it does, and I appreciate that for it because it just works.
Yeah, no, I thought all the skits were pretty funny. There wasn't any like lag time, and in fact, before we recorded, I wanted to make sure I got all the Spike Jonze stuff correct, and one of the credits I saw was Jackass 4.5, which is not an unusual trend. Usually, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't make the movie that they end up re-releasing.
Sure.
And I will say I do feel like there were some reused, or not reuse stuff, but like stuff that didn't make it in previous Jackasses that were in this film. Because there was a lot of back and forth of Johnny Knoxville with like jet black hair, and then like Silver Fox,
Right.
Johnny Knoxville.
Right.
And there was even one clip where they were doing the marching band on the treadmill.
Oh my God.
Which looked incredibly painful.
Yeah.
But Bam Margera was in that one, and he didn't have anything to do with the newest one. So it felt like they did reuse some of the stuff, but like the stuff they did, like that was a.
But that treadmill one, that's a perfect example because that shitty, the shitty attempt at playing and marching was more disastrous than the result of getting on the treadmill. And that's the thing about them is it was so pathetic. Like, but they did it with gusto, man.
They did it.
They have the Don Quixote spirit.
And then there was one. I mean, every time you watch a Jackass movie or a skit, like you always kind of like put yourself in their shoes. Like, oh, I would totally never do that. And there's a lot of stuff I would never do.
Right.
There was two things in particular that was just a hell no. It was the silent mime challenge.
Oh yeah, no.
And they brought on. They
were good at that though.
Yeah. So they brought on this one woman who was just fucking fearless, dude. Like she did absolutely everything. In fact, there was an article that I read about her, and it was like her only stipulation was no butt stuff. So she was smart. Like everything else, which is funny because the end of the first Jackass, they shove a toy car up a guy's ass and make him get an X-ray, and the doctor's like, "What the hell is this?" I think that's how they end it, actually, or no, one of the ending ones. But the silent mime challenge was the one that really like kind of like. I just thought to myself, how can you do this? So the first challenge was you had to lick a taser.
Yep.
And she did it like nothing. I don't understand how.
No, she cabined in the woods did it with the wolf.
Yeah,
because she was. Yeah, that was amazing.
I completely don't understand. But then the second challenge where you had to give a snake a kiss.
Yep.
That was I couldn't do that. Like nope. I don't want to get my face near a snake. I don't want anything to do that.
And they made that. There was like 7 strikes for that one.
Yeah, they were like, give him another kiss, and you're like, God, no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, no.
But I don't know, man. I thought it was real refreshing to see them come back. I would love if obviously, I think there was like an article about Johnny Knoxville. Like I think a doctor told him he can't go through any more concussions, like physically, or else he's gonna start getting some serious. Or maybe he had some kind of brain damage.
When did the article come out? 2003.
Yeah, I think actually.
Or was that 2008?
I think there's one every several years.
Yes,
where his doctor's just like, God damn it. But I would love to see them like continuing Jackass in some form or another. Like
totally.
Like they brought on the newcomers, and it would be cool.
Well, I know you're pro newcomers, but I thought that was there's no way you could transition to the energy they were bringing.
No, but you could still have them involved in some.
Oh, you can definitely have them involved, but they are dependent on the mania that already got spun up when they got there.
Yeah.
Imagine them trying to initiate anything is impossible to imagine.
I don't know. I think once you see someone's penis and use it as a ping pong paddle, I feel like the camaraderie.
That's true. The camaraderie will get
brings itself to the table.
I think Johnny Knoxville. It looked like you can transition yourself to kind of the evil carnival runner.
Yeah.
You can be the central figure who gets abused once in a while. It felt like that's what was happening here because he went for the most brutal thing. Like he's like, I'm just gonna get it all out of the way once because I'm busy.
Yeah.
Right. And that was, by the way, just credit to the classics. the bull strike,
the bull strike, and his two main stunts, getting hit by the bull again, which it looks so.
Right.
It looks so painful.
But that's the thing about Jackass, and that's one of the things I appreciate is that I think that's what keeps it from being like Fear Factor to me, if anyone remembers what that used to be. But, But that emotion, right? Because when that bull hit him, 2 things happened to me immediately. I was more invested in rooting for him not to be like he's the captain of their team. Like they're wrecked without him. So not wrecked, but they're that's bad. That's a bad hit to take as a team. So you want it to be okay, right? But also, it's the most glorious moment that only like a Jackass feature film in HD can deliver you of how terrifying that situation can be, right? That situation is scarier than 80% of horror movie scenes that, like, they write out in saw trap and diagram and, like, there's a bowl and some dirt.
It's like 1,000 pounds.
But all of a sudden, it's just all of nature's rage distilled into one, like, impossible to stop motion, and nothing else shows you that, like, except Grizzly Man, which also won Oscars, but you don't want to go there.
You don't want to go there.
Right.
And then the last sort of, gag or stun or whatever that I thought it actually looked beautiful was the Icarus.
Oh my God!
cannon.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. It's gorgeous. It's the thumbnail shot. They know how beautiful it is. It's also a really good call out to horror fans, right? Because Icarus is one of the better, darker of the myth stories that you could, his wings melt, too close to the sun or whatever. But just the glorious way he emerges from the cannon.
He even like made sure to like throw his arms out so the
Hell
wings are
yeah.
spread, and it looks just so.
That's like the ethic, the pro ethic. He came out of that in exact. It's athletic,
Yes.
right? An exact body control of I'm going through this pain, but the price I'm going to get back from nature is I'm going to take the pain, and you're going to give me this amazing visual. Thank you for this transaction.
I absolutely love this movie. I kind of wish I could watch it with the commentary like I did the first one. I think that'd be a really cool bookend. So maybe someday they'll do something like that. Probably not. But if they did, I'd watch it again.
Remember when they cranked the cannon up before the Icarus?
Oh my God! And it was huge. It was a huge. It wasn't like the cartoon ones where it's like 3 feet. Like when they tilted it up, and you hear, I think it was Chris Pontius or something like that. He's like, "Oh, they're tilting it up." It towers all of them. Like it is a huge. How tall do you think that cannon was?
Like 30
30
I was
feet,
trying
45
to. That's what I was trying to clock it. I think 30 feels right. I think it's it's the size of the shark in Jaws 3.
Yeah, it is absolutely humongous, and I am terrified of heights. So the fact that he got absolutely shot, and I think the first thing he said, it was like the amount of air that went up his ass was like one of the more painful. It was one of the more painful things.
It's just a great way to end it. Just a beautiful visual for it. That should be in the Guggenheim. All right, so Jackass Forever,
highly recommend it. It's on Paramount Plus. If you're like me and you don't want another streaming service, you can get a 5-day trial. I think I actually need to cancel it tonight. I think tonight or tomorrow. Yeah, that's how they get you. But they also on Paramount Plus they have Scream 5 and A Quiet Place Part 2. More importantly, they have not all. I keep saying it. I don't know. I need to look, but they have Reno 911.
Right? Aren't they the home of Beavis and Butthead? Because that's the most important.
If they had Beavis and Butthead, I would love to watch some of that. I would absolutely love to watch some of that. But you can get a 5-day free trial, so it's totally worth checking out. So, all right. Well, if you like this episode and you're a fan of Jackass, consider giving us a 5-star review. Or if you're listening to this on Facebook, drop a comment down below, because then that'll help bump the algorithm gods. And you got to give them something. You got to give them, hit like. Or a little comment there, depending if the app's finicky.
In honor of Jackass, smash them.
Oh yeah, in honor of Jackass, smash that button smash it against your forehead.
No,
yeah,
yes.
Just like
forehead.
that. To play some punk rock, puke on your phone, and then make a lot of money, get on the cover of Rolling Stone or whatever. And until next time, stay scary, watch a bunch of horror movies. Talk to you guys next time.